always find it funny. I always find it funny that
the
people call into streams, and people are trying to have productive conversations, but their whole goal is just to be entertained. So you're a troll. I don't know the show. Okay, I don't know the show that well. I've recently tapped in, so I just want to understand the scope. So you call into troll.
Go ahead, Daniel, and then I want to let Sandra get in here because I want to hear what.
Oh, I want to say one thing, Sandra Faye. I'm subscribed to your page. I like it. But go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt the discussion. Go ahead.
Good. And make sure y'all go subscribe to her channel. Put the link of her channel in the chat, you guys, in the chat.
What she be talking about?
We're gonna let
her stuff. Good stuff.
Daniel, you want to chime in, Daniel, real quick?
Turn on us.
Yeah, I'll be the judge of that.
All right, what up, everybody?
Sandra, don't pay him no. See the one that trade, don't pay him no mind, child.
As far as all of these behaviors not being new, absolutely. Okay, even if you're one of the religious people, if you go back to the Bible, they were talking about thought pockets back then. So prostitution, all of that's been a thing. I agree with the sentiment that it's being more exposed now. So a lot of, our aunties and uncles, they done did some stuff that we would be blushing if we found out. Okay, blushing and hiding our face and saying, I don't know this person. Mm-hmm. So I do agree that there is a lot more exposure to people who are living a more degenerate lifestyle. Now, as far as the whole marriage thing, I do think that as a society in whole, marriage is just kind of going downhill because we don't value that anymore. I think everybody has been, and I always try to connect this to a bigger picture. Everybody is being conditioned to do that, right? All of these things are not coming out of nowhere. We've been propagandized for a very long time, way before I was even born. We've been being propagandized to dislike each other. We've been propagandized to, feed into 304 culture, promiscuity, all of these things. We've been propagandized into not prioritizing family and children, all of this, because there has been a big push for depopulation. So a lot of people don't want to talk about that aspect of it, but even looking back at like my life choices, and you examine everybody's life choices, you will realize that as woke or as aware as we may think we are, in some way, shape, or form, we've all been propagandized in some fashion. Okay, now we can wake up to it and try to break free from that process of thinking, but we've all been propagandized in some way, shape, or form. That's why we have these huge gender wars where everyone is just fighting and pushing back at each other. So this has been manufactured, right? So I think that, yes, there is personal accountability. Whenever I talk about this issue, like a lot of times people will be like, oh, it's just, you're just trying to scapegoat account. No, it's not that. Two things can be true at the same time. We can have major propaganda trying to influence us into behaving a certain way. And then also we have our own accountability for the choices that we make. We just don't understand how manipulative the propaganda is. And sometimes it's very subtle. Sometimes it's very subtle to where you basically think it's your own idea. The whole time, these were seeds that have been planted and watered throughout time, starting with, your great grandmother. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then that's getting passed down from generation to generation. So all of this gender war, it's nothing new under the sun, but it is for a purpose. The elitists want us to die off as much as possible because they want to depopulate the earth. And this doesn't just show up in our relationships, it's showing up in other aspects of our lives. So that's just something that we need to keep in mind whenever we're having this conversation, so that we have a nuanced perspective and we're able to not just sit and wag the finger at each other, but actually come to the table and have real conversations and then come up with real solutions, because wagging the finger isn't the only aspect of solving this problem. I'm 100% here for shame. Okay. We need to bring shame back. I agree 1000%, but that is not the only thing that we need to do in order to fix these problems. These problems are very well rooted in our society, in the fabric of society. And it's not just showing up in our dating. Okay. It's not just showing up in how we're viewing the opposite sex. It's showing up everywhere. Yeah.
Go ahead. Who was that?
Can I speak to that?
Go ahead. Yeah.
You know, what entity out there do we know that uses class struggle, like you just said, this indoctrination you speak of, or this propaganda that is coming to us? I just question where it's coming from. I question who else uses resentment politics in this world, or who uses terror and fear in this world. The one large party, the officially atheist party that I know, is the Communist Party of China, who would absolutely love to see a depopulated America, who would absolutely love to see a fearful and broken America with broken families, which is the nucleus of our family. And I keep going back to that. I'm on a lot of, I'm going down the rabbit hole with communist history. And I'm like, wow, they got into America. They got into our institutions. They got into our schools. They got into our politics. They got into our food, and now I guess to Trey's point earlier, we'll see what happens in midterms. We're going to see what happens in New York with this Mondami guy talking about free everything. And I hope this guy wins in New York so that we can see this entire plan fall on its face and everyone can put communism down. Everyone can put socialism down and the class struggles and the resentments. And maybe we can actually have cohesive families again after that is my thoughts.
Let me address this propaganda thing. First of all, in the 90s, we had a bunch of TV shows that pushed families and getting married. There's a Cosby Show, Different World, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Family Matters, all types of shows. And they were talking about family. And the marriage rates continue to decline. It ain't got nothing to do with any of that. The fact of the matter is that women were given a taste of independence and freedom. They liked the way it tasted. They said, I am never going hungry again. Point blank, period. That's the end of it. We are never going back to a time where women feel like they are oppressed, where women feel like they have to be under the leadership of a man. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's what the communists said.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen. At the end of the day, it's not going to happen. We have to accept that there is a new reality. Interest rates used to be 2%. We're never going back to 2%. 6% is the new interest rate now. Get over it. Move on. like this idea that we're going back to a time in which we perceive things to be better when in actuality they really weren't better. We just didn't know what we didn't know. It's not happening. At the end of the day, you're probably going to get a female president within the next 2 to 3 elections. It's probably going to happen. Communism and socialism is going to run rampant. It's going to be strong. They want this to work. They want universal basic income. It's all going to happen. Like, they want this to happen. And at the end of the day, those who make the decisions, the oligarchs of this country who make the decisions, they're going to have exactly what they want. All these people who keep talking about, well, we'll just starve them out and we won't go to this, we won't go to that. That's exactly what they want. They're talking about Vegas. Well, Vegas is empty. That's what they want. They don't want your broke ass down there. That's exactly what they want. They only want the people with money. So if you ain't down there, good. We're talking about, I'm in the DMV. They're talking about, oh, they're building a new stadium for the Commanders and the price is going to be outrageous. That's exactly what they want. They don't want your broke ass there because you can't afford nothing. So you need to understand this. There's a new day coming, and that in essence has nothing to do with who sits at the top seat. That's just going to be the way it is, and they're going to be giving money to people to try to continue to make this happen. But this whole socialism doesn't work. I don't know why we want to do this so bad. It doesn't work. Any of the countries that use socialism are failed countries. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. But yet we're going to try it anyway. And now America's going to be a failed country, and the only way to get it to go back to being capitalism is we're going to have to get people to understand that you are in competition in this country with everything: dating, innovation, professionalism, education. You are in competition at all times. You have to understand that we are not all equal. There's levels to this game. We got to understand that.
Well, let me ask you this real quick. Then I want Arpain to chime in. So you don't think that there are putting things in place, and I'm just asking because I don't know. You don't think that they're putting things in place to cause women to have to depend on the family structure, to have to go back to? Remember, you hear women saying, "Hey, we don't have to work together like our grandparents did, and in a relationship or in a household with a man we really don't want to be with, but he's the breadwinner, so we just got to deal with it." You don't think that it could get to a place, because you said, Trey, you said it's never going back to them you know, the way women were. But you don't think that certain things, the way the economy is heading, and I saw something where they're saying Amazon is going to start using robots for the area, so that means that's going to be less people that they're hiring and stuff like that. You don't think that that's going to have a part to play in all of that?
Of course, it's going to have a part to play in it, but we need to be clear of something. Women have not needed men for almost 50 years. My grandmother bought a house in the 70s. My mother bought a house in the 90s. It's been a long time. This isn't anything new. This idea that we're going to go back to a time when women are going to have to get on their knees and kiss at the feet of men and please take. No, they're not. Now, here's the thing. They're not going to be able to live lavishly. They're not going to be able to have a luxury lifestyle. No. But the idea that they can't make it, they'll be able to make it. And then if that doesn't work, when the socialism party gets back into office, they're going to put in things to make sure that they can make it. It's always been like, I'm just confused by people. It's always been this way. They're going to make sure that women.
It's been this way since like the 50s.
Yeah, it's always been this way. Like even divorce. Divorce was designed to make sure that women and kids weren't on the streets. like they've always designed it. And you have to understand something. When you're dealing with the United States government, you're dealing with a faction that can change the rules whenever they want. They get to make the rules as they go. If they don't like the way some things are going, they'll just change it. They'll just change the rules. That's how they operate. So we have to understand something. When you find a woman, and if you have actually found a woman and you and her share the same morals, right? And you share a lot of the same ideologies about how you're going to raise a family and what's right and what's wrong, well, you better hang on tight. You better hang on tight, because the odds of you actually finding another one's going to be slim to none, and slim as left the damn building. I'm telling you, if you find one, you better hold her tight. They are far and few between, and that's the thing a lot of people aren't understanding. And to the video you played, Dee, about women like in marriage. I was never raised that marriage or relationships were about what you get. I was always raised that it's about what you give. And that if you wanted a successful relationship and you wanted a successful marriage, it was more about what you gave versus what you got out of it, right? Mm-hmm. Well, unfortunately, we live in a lifetime of gimme. That's what we live in now. And so everybody's going into these relationships thinking, what can I get? What do I get out of it? Well, this doesn't make sense for me. Even I am victim of it at times, being a single man. They're saying, I don't think I get anything out of that, so I'm not going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Can I speak to one of the things that he said? And I'll keep it as brief as possible because I know other people want to talk. But when you say that socialism never works, I would argue that it works exactly the way they wanted it to work. So that there is a huge disparity between the mega rich and the mega poor. So it's never, and we have to understand, and people said this in the comment section, and it mirrors a lot of the points that I've been saying on my channel. The elitists are two sides of the same coin. You think these Republicans, socialists, Democrats, they get on here, they get on the TV, and they will headbutt each other in front of y'all, thumb thug, and say, oh, he's a this and he's a this. But the whole time they're going out and getting lunch after the fact. They're going out and getting lunch after the fact. They are putting on a show for all of us. And a lot of us have bought into it. And that's the problem. So when we say, oh, well, socialism, it never works. No, it works exactly the way they want it to work. For us to be extremely poor and for them to be extremely rich. And I agree with the sentiment that, if we're thinking of an ideal society, it doesn't work. I agree 1000%, but we don't live in an ideal society. We live in a society full of corrupt mofos that want that disparity. So it is propagandized. And I did want to really quickly address who it is. It's everyone, all the elitists, whether it's Democrat, Republican, everything in between. If they are a part of the elitist class, then they are the ones pushing out that propaganda. And so while we might get mixed signals of a good show here and there that promotes family values, you have to understand, if they just put out everything negative all the time, then the propaganda wouldn't be successful. You have to kind of bait people into these things. You can't just say negative all the time, because everyone's going to look at that and be like, that doesn't make sense. But if you lead in with, oh, we're going to push these family values, it gives them plausible deniability. And that's why you end up with takes like that saying, well, no, we had these shows. They do that for plausible deniability. You have to understand how deep the psychology goes to understand how deep the rabbit hole goes. But I want to let somebody else talk. I don't want to hog the platform.
Our pain.
I want to elaborate on that the propaganda.
Go ahead. JSU Tiger, thank you for the super chat. Says, I think you're slowly seeing a shift to conservatism in America. Thank you for that super chat. Go ahead, Daryl, and then I want our pain to chime in.
But Ms. Sandra, I want to address the propaganda that you talked about earlier. From my understanding, the elements that represent propaganda is birth control, the right of abortion, and welfare. Those are the three propaganda issues I want to address. Now, yes, the government put that out. They created the part of birth control, abortion rights, and welfare. But the thing I'm missing is the fact that these propaganda issues are an option. You do not have to choose it. It's an option. It's made available. And the thing I'm getting is with the battle between the genders is no battle, really. It's the fact that the women are choosing the government over the man. Instead of choosing being with the man, make a family, and doing that, they're choosing the birth control. They're choosing the right for abortion. They're choosing to go on welfare when they can also choose the man. But when they do that, they go right back around and blame the government. But you chose them. The government made all these propaganda issues available to you. You choose them, but then you blame the same people that gave you, that made available the propaganda. But the man is standing right there. Been right there the whole time. Since before time, since Bible age, the man was right there. And when the propaganda is made available, you have the right of choice. And that's what I'm missing. You want to blame everything, the propaganda, but it's a choice.
Well, not necessarily.
Well, I did say that earlier.
Before you go, sister, let me jump in. I'll stay on the propaganda thing, but not necessarily, because I was there. When the birth control pill came out, it was 1960. Right? The ladies who had daughters put their daughters on birth control at 14 to 16 years old to protect them. But the backdrop to that was that they also tacitly told these girls that they could have sex without getting in trouble. So even though women made a choice, the mothers made a choice to give it to them, and the mothers were taking it too. And then a sexual revolution started because women chose to have sex without consequence. And and men, we were down for it. So, yeah, women chose, but it was still programming. It was still propaganda. Men made the pill. They could have had this nefarious thing. They didn't talk about the hormonal problems, none of that shit. But I remember young girls popping those shits because their mother told them to. When they were 14 and 15 and 16. These were the baby boomer girls, by the way. Wait a second. You talk, let me finish. A lot of people blame a lot of shit on baby boomers, but they were 14 and 15, but they started the pill real early, and so they took that into their adult years, and they were jamming like crazy. Listen, I got married in '87, and let me tell you, that was a long time ago. And well, two things: when I went to school, there were more women in school than men, even back in the 70s. So this whole flex about women being the most enrolled and all that shit, it's all been bullshit for a long time. They were more back then too. And then when I got married, I didn't have none of my prerequisites for my wife was that she had to be a virgin. And that was 1987. So when I hear men talking about all that shit now in 2025, they must be out of their goddamn mind. So I'm just saying, women ain't never going back to the way it was before. The only problem is that their vision of how women were back then has been skewed, right? Because they think all the women of the 80s, the 70s, the 50s, and 40s, they only got married because they were slaves to the men. Some of those women actually loved their husbands. That never gets told. So we're all over this place. But propaganda, we're all under this. I call it programming. We've all been under programming for years, and some are more susceptible to others than others. So that's why it seems like some people are accepting it more than others, because some of us are weaker than others. Some of us don't become aware until later. I'm fucking almost 70 years old. I just realized I shouldn't be on the plantation anymore. I voted for Hillary Clinton. I still can't believe I did that. So I'm just telling you. So it takes a while to, for you to come out of the fog. And, and old folk like me, I can't tell the young people to do it. They got to come to some revelations on their own.
Yeah, I appreciate your take on that, Richard, because that's exactly what I was going to say. It's always interesting how people will say, oh, well, how did they fall for the propaganda, not knowing they've been propagandized in some way, shape, or form. It's kind of like that saying that the person who thinks they know everything knows very little. And that's the idea that I apply to this. If you are going to say that, oh, well, how do you fall for this? If I pick through your life, if I go through every aspect of your life, I'm pretty sure I could find an area where you've been propagandized. We don't understand how insidious and how easy it is to propagandize and influence different people. And to the brother's point, not everybody is on the same cognitive level. So we have a big society full of a lot of people. And if we're going to assume that or try to say that all people should just not fall for it, well, you should just not fall. Not everybody is at the same cognitive level. Not everybody has the same experiences. So we have to come to this from a nuanced perspective, or else we're not going to fix anything. And so I'm not a doom and gloomer, at least not yet. I don't know. Maybe in a few years, I see enough nonsense. Maybe I will be a doom and gloomer too. But I still have a bit of optimism that I'm holding on for dear life. And I want people to wake up to the fact that propaganda is a real thing. And the only way to combat it is to have an open mind and not have this one track black and white thinking, oh, well, it's the black man. Oh, it's the black woman. No, it's a nuanced conversation. And, I want to go back to that point about, oh, well, it's a choice. I agree. And I said that earlier. Okay, when I mentioned it the first time, I did say that it is a choice. We do have accountability when it comes to that. I'm not trying to scapegoat accountability. With that being said, the propaganda is still there. Just like, when we talk about the crack epidemic, the people out there selling it, they had a choice. The people out there distributing it had a choice. The people out there taking it had a choice. So yes, there are choices on both sides, right? And I'm not trying to do this whole whataboutism, but we have to make this clear. There are choices on both sides that have led to the degradation of the Black family. And it has started way prior to the 80s. It has started way prior to the 60s. Honestly, in my opinion, it started with civil rights. Okay, that's where I believe it started. And I have a whole video talking about that. I don't want to be too long-winded, but we have to have an open mind. Okay, if we're coming to a conversation, and that's one of the pillars of a higher IQ, being able to hear perspectives that you don't agree with and then go into them and try to understand them before just saying, well, that's just not the case. No, we try to understand each other's perspectives and then figure out where the truth is, because we're all surrounded by so much nonsense. And this is what the CIA wanted. There's like a famous quote about it where the CIA said, if we can get everybody confused, then we've done our job. If people don't know what's right, what's left, then we've done our job. And it seems like they've done their job.
I have one thing to add.
I can't understand stupid. And if we're going to talk about stupid, I can't understand stupid. This idea that everybody has different cognitive levels. The problem is that their vote counts the same as mine. So now we got an issue. We got a big issue then. So if you're telling me that my cognitive level are higher than theirs, then they should not be able to vote.
And that's not going to change, Trey. That's exactly true. That's true, though.
But Payne, the issue is that there's more stupid people than there are smart.
That's always been the case.
So they outnumber us.
No doubt.
And so, but they get the same. They get the same ability to vote. And that's the issue. Yeah, I am black and white on these issues because you know why? I've watched black people murder each other in the streets. I've seen them do it. I've held boys with 17 bullet holes in their body. That wasn't no white man that came in there and did that. It was black men. And we gonna blame it on the propaganda? Come on, man. Come on.
This is a conversation got 100 tentacles to it, but let me also tell about men and women relationships. We have basic natures that we ignore. And I think that's one of our problems too, because that knowing your nature of a man and a woman, when two of us want to get together, I think it cuts through a lot of the bullshit. I mean, I've been married for a long time. You know that, Dee. And maybe you can relate to this. I've come to the realization that the only reason why my wife is still with me is because she wants to be. I mean, when you cut through all the bullshit, right? You cut through all the love, the covenants that we made with each other and all that. The only reason why she's still here after all these years is because she wants to be. I mean, the same is reciprocal with me. And I think we miss that fact. We think that we make it so complicated that it's crazy. When she looks at me, I mean, I could tell she just wants to be here or she'd be gone. And she could take everything I have with her. But she doesn't choose to. Not to mention I'm the best husband in the world, but that's beside the point.
There you go, Mr. Payne. There you go. You remind Gideon again, kind of like back in the 1980s, want to buy that gingerbread cookie house for Christmas.
That's what I'm saying.
Hey, Clancy, Payne won't tell the truth. It's your generation's fault.
Y'all the ones that did this. Funny. That's funny. I just changed the name of my channel.
Don't make that fake, Dave. That ain't your generation. It's his generation.
Accountability, blaming the older generation.
Whose generation? You say whose fault it is?
It's yours. Y'all baby boomers, the most selfish generation of all time.
Listen, you cannot make this up. You're over here saying we need to be accountable. Oh, it's the baby boomers. It's the baby boomers.
Sandra, chill out. It's a running joke between you.
Yeah, it's a running joke.
It's a joke.
I take it everywhere I go, man. I tell you. But listen, I'm your favorite baby boomer. I tell everybody that now. But anyway, it's an interesting conversation. But I got to split.
Yeah.
Well, take care, Richard. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for having me up. Hey, nice seeing everybody else. This is a special session, right? It's Saturday, isn't it?
It is.
It's my birthday.
Yeah, I didn't
since I'm retired, every day seems like the same day to me. So sometimes I gotta get confirmation that it's the right day.
Hey, that's pretty cool. Hey, today is my birthday. I just turned 49.
Happy birthday.
So I hope I have the same happiness that you have.
Happy birthday. I hope you get all the coke and hookers that you can stand.
Wait.
I'm going to go check your channel out, Sam. All right, later.
Thank you.
Take care, Richard.
By the way, there is no solution to this, Edie.
Because that's what I was about to say from what, just to piggyback off of what Sandra said. She was talking about people aren't on the same, did you say cognitive levels to where, I guess when we're trying to communicate and being open, because I talk about that too, kind of in the same realm, being open to what other people have to say. I think that she was referring to how people can understand each other better. We have, Trey, and y'all know we've had these conversations for a while. And y'all get crazy, y'all argue and all that kind of stuff. We can't even get past a difference of opinion. We can't even get past like understanding each other and that everybody is different and people have different perspectives to even get to a point of understanding each other, to listen to each other and make changes or change. How do we do that? Because if we're talking about making a difference, don't we have to kind of get on the same page in order to do that, like on a basic level?
Which we never will. The Black community in itself is filled with all types of different thoughts and ideologies, personalities, religious beliefs, and so on.
Yeah.
So this idea that we're all going to come together and kumbaya at the end of the day, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I'm a conservative. So there's that. And I'm the only one in my family. The rest of them are all liberals. So how do you think that's going to work?
That makes two of us. Yeah, my family's like that too.
Yeah, we have, but here's the thing. I think at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. The only thing that's going to matter are the people who have a whole lot more money than us. They're going to be the ones that make the decisions. They make the decisions all the time. They sit in those Federal Reserve rooms and they have private conversations that none of us will ever be privy to. And they make decisions. that affect all of us to some degree. What
I
you
got
have
a question for Trey.
Okay, what you have to do is learn how to react to that. I was never going to vote for Biden, but I was ready for Biden when he got in office. I knew what was going to happen, so I could change my investment portfolio and all this other type of stuff to be beneficial to me for when a liberal or Democrat is in office versus a Republican or even a Trump for that matter. You need to be ready for whatever's coming down the pipe.
So Trey, you call into these shows for entertainment? Is that why you call into the shows for entertainment?
Absolutely. There's no solution coming out of this. You think the oligarchs in this world, you think Musk and them are listening to this right now? They're not.
So if you're calling in for entertainment purposes, why should we listen to what you have to say if we're all solution oriented?
You don't have to listen to me. You can turn the volume down while I talk.
Fair. I
always find it
funny. I always find it funny that people call into streams, and people are trying to have productive conversations, but their whole goal is just to be entertained. So you're a troll. I don't know the show. Okay, I don't know the show that well. I've recently tapped in, so I just want to understand the scope. So you call into troll.
Issue is that people like you call into these shows. People like you call into these shows with a hope strategy and thinking that it's going to work, and it's not. Hope is not a strategy. You said it yourself, you're an optimist. Good luck with that. You said you haven't gone to doom and gloom yet. You'll change over time. It'll happen. Just keep living. It'll happen. What you'll see reality. And oftentimes what happens is when people come onto these shows and they call in, they want to say the right thing, the PC thing in front of a group of people. But that's not what reality is. The reality is that it's nasty out here. The reality is that 600,000 Black women got fired. The reality is that the federal government is down right now, and it's the second longest shutdown for a while, and there's no end in sight. That's the reality. The reality is that I live in the DMV. 5 people got killed last night. That's the reality.
My God.
So you want to call in about this reality as a joke?
I am no
troll.
Troll. I am no troll. Please don't be disrespectful. I am no troll. I'm a realist. I'm telling you the reality of this, that you think that this world is going to be,
if you want me to be respectful, then be respectful back to me. Because
how have I disrespected
you? When you started your spiel, that was also disrespectful. Well, she just wants to call in for hope. Look, I'm a woman. I understand those little slick terms when people say it. I understand it. I peep game. But my whole point is this. If we want to have solutions to these problems, if we don't want to lay down and just give up, because that's what it sounds like you're saying, well, just lay down, give up, and just try to get by as best you can. Fine. That is your perspective. You are allowed to have that. You're allowed to live that by all means. Not all of us are cowards and want to give up. And not all of us want to just sit back and allow the elitists to have their way with us. Some of us do want to fight back. And that's why we have these conversations, because we are the majority against the elite. They are but a few, and the rest are the many. So if we are able to, and we're not going to be able to get all, nobody ever said get all, okay? That is ridiculous. Nobody's ever said all. But if we're able to get a large enough portion of us on some kind of page to understand that it's not us against each other, it's us against them, then we can start to try to fix these things. So I do have hope, okay? And I don't see that as a bad thing. But what I do see that is kind of a bit interesting is that you said higher when you're talking about cognitive function, but you can't even see past your own perspective to even entertain what anybody else is saying. You just shut it out at the door, which is a sign of lower intelligence, lower IQ.
Reason why I'm shutting out
I think that what people should do is have 2 ears, listen to understand, and then respond to try to get somewhere, as opposed to, well, that's just stupid. Oh, you're just doing this on hope. That doesn't solve anything, and that is the definition of trolling. Because you said you're here for entertainment anyway.
I have no power to change anything. You have no power. At the end of the day, Sandra, you're not going to die for your beliefs. That's the truth. You're not going to die for them. You're not going to give your life up for what you believe in. So all you're going to do is you're going to continue to come onto the panels, and you can spread hope. Obama did it successfully for 8 years. It does work. You can fool the people. You can fool people with hope. It works. But at the end of the day, the reality will be the same. A bunch of people thought Trump wasn't going to win. He won. And here we are. And I wish Payne was still here, because the stream that I was on with him, I told him when Trump wins, he going to make sure that black women suffer the most. I said that to him. I told him that. And that's exactly what we're seeing. I live in reality. I don't live in a whole delusional world. And this isn't about being a coward. You're not saying anything that I haven't already heard before over the last 3 years. That's why I can dismiss it, because it's nothing new. You're saying the same thing that everybody else has been saying when they pop up a channel with a microphone.
So you don't believe the black community can do any better than what it is right now?
If the black community could do better, they would do better.
In which you're right, but the thing is, though, do you believe that people can come together and have the conversation, though, Trey?
The best time that black people ever came together was civil rights. Have we ever been better than that?
Do you think that it has anything to do with? Do you believe that we had higher marriage rates than even white people before the civil rights era?
For sure. I mean, the statistics show that. There was a point in time we were married at an 80% clip. We were doing very well.
Civil rights happened. Yeah. And then, Nixon came in and he said, we'll pay these women to leave the family. And here we have government incentives, the introduction of the welfare state. I think all of that, we could backpedal that, which we can do. I don't subscribe to the powerless narrative. I think they want us to believe that also. I think that our power is in our unity. I think that our power is in yeah, I'm saying, like, if we could unify and actually come together, the meme of the two guys, the black and the white arm wrestling, and it's like, this is what they really fear. It's like unity amongst black and white people, black men, black women and Hispanic women, all of us. If we all just came together and said, hey man, you know what? I actually don't hate you like the news told me to hate you. Yeah. And I actually don't think you're as evil as the news told me, you're evil. Turns out the news is a bunch of communist propaganda organizations, is my personal belief. And I think that is actually our power. I think our vote still matters. I think that as much as they want to delude us into thinking our vote does not matter, I think our vote still holds water. And I think that they wouldn't fight so much over it if it really had no power whatsoever. We can put these people in positions. We can take these people out of positions also. The states have rights, and I think we've forgotten that. And yeah, man, buck the communism,
I want to believe that we could, because I really would love that if we could come to some type of common ground and make things happen. That's what I would love. But look,
if we could drop the communism they shoved in our mouths during the 60s, during all that, Great New Deal, and let's pay these women to leave the house. If we could drop that socialism that they introduced years ago, I think we could come back together, and I think that would be us coming back together like we already did. A little bit of
you had two opportunities. Trump 45, Trump 47 to come together and do something. Right or wrong?
Black women hate Trump. That wasn't ever going to happen.
I'm sorry, I can't.
My question remains the same. You had two opportunities to actually do something to change the course of history. Who? Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris. Did it work?
Kamala had no plan, brother.
Did it work?
I don't understand what you're saying. Derek, what were you about to say?
No, it didn't work.
The fact of the matter is that coming together does not work because you have too many independent minds. I don't, obviously, even on this panel, I don't think like y'all.
Trey,
how is it that me and Sandra are gonna ever work together? We don't think alike.
Trey, I beg to differ. I'm gonna tell you why. See, I come from a time when I still remember seeing the white only signs. I still remember that. I come back in that day. And you saying that black people can't come together and get something done. We came a long way. What the priority at the time was freedom. And now the priority is peace. That's it. Freedom and peace. And that can be accomplished getting together. But the thing about it is, the thing about it is now we got the freedom, We can have the peace, but somehow it seems to be some type of controversy. And everybody has their different ideas of what the controversy is. Back in my day, when I was growing up, there was only one fight, and that was for freedom. That was it. That was the fight. So everybody knew what we was fighting for, so it was easy for all of us to collaborate, get together, and go for that, and go reach that goal. Mission accomplished. And guess who did it, Trey? It was black people. Black people got together, got their resources together, and got the freedom. Now we're free to do just as much as any other race, any other nationality. We can do it. But like I said, I came back in that day. But the difference is now we need to know what we want to fight for. What is it we're fighting for? We got so many different subjects that we're talking about. We don't know what we want to fight for. I haven't lost hope in black people, Trey. Is that we can do what we want to do, but we need to find out what we're fighting for. What is the goal? What do we want to do? What is that we need, or what that we're missing out on? What are we being oppressed by? That's it. But I do not lose hope against black people. I'm sorry. We can come together because we've done before. We've done with freedom and we're done with voting. We've done it. We've done it with the school system. We've done it. And of course, there were sacrifices that had to be made, but we still stuck to the fight. We still stuck to it. So you can't tell me that black people can't get together and get something accomplished.
Is the black community better now? Is the black community better now, or was it better in the 60s?
60s.
50s. It was better in the 50s. The 60s is where everything went off the rails.
No, 60s.
So you want a society and a culture of living off of handouts and a culture of chaos to come together and work together harmoniously.
Trey, if the fight is one fight, if there's one thing we all agree that we want to fight for, yes, it can be done. But if we're trying to fight for 10, 20 different things, no, because it's going to separate us. United we stand, just like the young man said earlier, about being united. United we stand, divided we fall. If the fight is 10 battles,
you coming back from Argentina to fight?
Absolutely. If I agree on what the fight is, I sure will.
You ain't flying back from Argentina to come back to
get
into the fight. No, you're not.
I will come back for the fight. Matt, Trey, I'll come back anyway because there's a battle I am going to fight.
Would I fight?
There's a battle that I do want to fight. And I'm coming back.
Asking me, would I fight for black culture and black society? Is that what you're asking me?
Yes, that's what I'm asking you.
Or anything you believe in.
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe that black people need to do away with government altogether. Don't get married by the government. Don't do it. The government has never been in. Listen, the government doesn't create systems for them to lose at all. They have never. I spent 8 years in the Air Force, 2 tours in Iraq. I was a police officer in DC. I have seen how this works. They do not create anything in which the government will lose. Everything is designed for them to win. Everything is designed.
But Trey, you've been to how many different countries have you been to other than the U.S.? How many different countries?
30. I think it's 31 at this point.
Tell me what country has a better life than we do here?
Nobody. Nobody has it better than America.
But okay, so I know you said the government.
But my fight isn't whether or not we're better than other countries. My fight is that I think that the direction in which the black community should go should not be one of asking for handouts and reparations and all this other nonsense. I believe that black people are smart enough, intelligent enough, strong enough, capable enough to do it on our own. We proved it. Sure. We've done it before.
That I just said earlier. That we proved that we can unite and win.
The current leadership in the so-called black community is always going back and saying, well, you need to give us this. And you need to give us that because our ancestors and this and that. And that's why she's having the topic she's having now. They're crashing out over food stamps. There should be no crash out over food stamps. Because you shouldn't be on them. That's where I'm at with this.
Well, I mean, let me read this super chat, then I'm gonna ask a question. Chris Creative, thank you for the super chat. Says Black women vote 90% Democrat. Black people used to be the top minority. With open borders, Latinos are the top by 30 million. Blacks vote for their own doom. What's your thoughts on that? Thank you, Chris, for the super chat. I appreciate you. So once again, I'm just asking: is there a solution if we can't get on the same page? People have been saying this for years, though. I've been hearing this for years. Oh, Black people, they're never going to change because you can't even get on the same. Y'all, we all think differently. We can't get on the same page, and I don't think a lot of people really know what they're fighting for or what they want to fight for. I think some people ain't fighting for nothing. They don't have no agenda or anything. So
that's all I need to know. What are you fighting for? Thank you, Mrs. D. I will ask you that. What's the fight for? What are we fighting for? What is that what's holding the Black people down? What is it that's holding us down? What's the weight? What's the problem? What's the issue? What are we fighting for? That's all I need to know.
I'm afraid there might not be an answer to that question, which I guess is the point. What you're saying. I think that if you're asking me personally, I'm here for fathers' rights. I think most social contagions and social ills could solve themselves in like 1 or 2 generations if you put fathers back in the house to be the stability for these kids, to say, hey, man, you're going to have to work. Yeah, because the government's not going to, well, they will, but you don't want government handouts. And here's a better idea. What about this idea? What about that idea? How did that work for you? And for the father and mother to create an environment where kids can fail with some like guardrails before they get out into the real world and fail on the voting block and vote us into socialism. But that's Sandra. What do you think? Is there a North Star for the Black community, or what would you say?
I think there could be, but only when we understand exactly how programmed we've been, right? So you have people programmed into this whole feminist ideology. You have people programmed into doom and gloom. There's this really good scene from A Bug's Life where this is an old school movie. If you've seen it before, Bug's Life, where Kevin Spacey's character, he plays the grasshopper, and he's talking to the other grasshoppers. And like, well, let's just not go back. Okay, we have enough food. We don't need to go back. Let them just be. And he throws the seed at him and says, did that hurt? No. Throws another seed at him. Did that hurt? No. Empties it on his ass. And next thing you know, his little leg is just shaking in the air because he's gone. So he makes this really big speech about how if we allow them to understand that they outnumber us, okay, that they have power in numbers, if we allow them to understand that point, then we're done. Okay, we're done. They will gang up on us and we'll be lights out. So that's what goes back to the point that I said earlier about everybody falling for propaganda, even the people that they think higher on a higher level. You've been propagandized into thinking that our numbers don't matter, that the elite will just always win. That's also a propagandized mind, a colonized mind, a programmed mind. So, if we really want to turn this thing around, we have to allow ourselves to be vulnerable enough to see where all of us, okay, not just everybody else, but look at ourselves too. Where have I been propagandized into believing something that is inherently negative? The idea of lay down, they're going to do it anyways. That's a negative ideology. So it's like, if you want to solve these problems, we have to look at ourselves, figure out where we've been programmed into something that is inherently negative, try to work on fixing it. And through that, we can inspire other people to look at themselves and also fix what they've been programmed to believe.